going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. So, big news happening yesterday. This was in relation to the Shohei Ohtani deal. So, the Dodgers are going to defer $680 million of Shohei Ohtani's contract, which means he will only be paid $2 million a year. I still think with the collective balance tax salary will be $46 million, but Ohtani is really only getting $2 million a year. And then $680 million of it will be deferred, I think, from 2033 to 2042 after his contract is up. So people have been saying this, not saying they shouldn't be able to do this, saying it's smart, some think it's not smart. I think this is brilliant. Gotta remember, Ohtani is not just making $2 million a year. That's not his only income. He makes about $40 million in endorsements. He's got deals with New Balance and Topps and Fanatics. He makes about $40 million. Plus, he's got sponsorships in Japan. No one knows what they are because obviously we don't have that information in this country. I think I mentioned this yesterday as well. But he's making about $40 million without the money from the Dodgers. So he's still, obviously, his salary-wise, he's, making as much as like a bench player. But when you include the endorsement, he's still making a ton of money. Plus, look, he's already made so much money. He made $30 million last year from the Angels. He's going to make $40 million this year from the endorsements, and then he gets the extra $2 million. And then in 10 years, when he's 39 years old, at that point, he would have made $12 million from the Dodgers. He gets at least the $40 million a year from the endorsements. He'll have another $680 million coming. He'll make $60 million a year. He'll probably, let's say he retires after 10 years. He'll be making $680 million a year to possibly sit on his couch. And then Ohtani, because of how special of a player he is, even at 39 years old, he might still be a starting caliber player in the MLB. He might still be a starting DH in the league. You might be able to go out and sign somewhere else for $5 million and be a starting DH, or $10 million for be a starting and get that other money. So shout out to whoever Ohtani's agent is for realizing that he's still going to make $40 million a year from the endorsements. Why does he need to? Why doesn't he just backwell the entire contract? He'll still make the $2 million from the Dodgers. And this gives the Dodgers payroll flexibility to sign other players, because now opposed to paying Ohtani $70 million a year every year, plus all the other big contracts they already have with Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts and others. Now they're only paying him $2 million a year, so they save so much money, allows them to still be aggressive and sign free agents every year. And Ohtani, when his career's over, he's second. He's been making $68 million a year once the contract is up for 10 years. So I think that this is a brilliant idea by the Dodgers and Shohei Ohtani. Some bad news for the Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert is out for the season. He's got a broken finger. He had surgery yesterday. He's out for the year. Another quarterback bites the dust. We had so many quarterback injuries this year, from Aaron Rodgers to Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins, Kenny Pickett, and now Justin Herbert. And there's others on my list as well. So Easton Stick, the Chargers backup, who's never really played before. He came in relief of the last game against Denver on Sunday. He will start for the rest of the season. Chargers season's pretty much over. Should be a lot of changes coming, and the first guy to go will definitely be Brad Staley. He's gone. No way he survives this. Doubleheader on Monday Football last night. We had the Giants defeat the Packers 24-22. Packers took a late lead by a point in the fourth quarter when that guy Heath, I don't even know his first name, some random guy I never heard of, made a great catch on a pass from Jordan Love. Nice play to reach the ball with the goal line for a touchdown. Packers went for two to go up by a field goal. Didn't get it, and Tommy freaking Cutlets leads the game-winning drive, gets him to the field goal range, ringing ball, game-winning field goal as time expires. Packers win 24-22. They've won 3 in a row. They're 5-9. All of a sudden, they're already a game behind the Packers for the last spot in the NFC. And the Titans pull off a big upset, beating the Dolphins 28-27. They were down 2 touchdowns with about 3 minutes left. The game come all the way back. This game was tied 13-13. Then the Titans, their punt returner, he was a caught between where or not he should pick up the ball or let it go, and he touched it, which meant it was a fumble, and Miami recovered inside the 10. And Raheem Mostert ran it in. Then next drive, Will Levis with an errant pitch to Derrick Henry led to a fumble. Miami recovered, led to another Raheem Mostert touchdown, so they went up by 2 touchdowns with like 5 minutes left. And then the Titans score a touchdown, lower than 3 minutes ago to make it, and they go for 2, which I was a really smart decision. They get 27-21, then Miami goes 3 and out. They get the ball back, and Will Levis leads a touchdown drive. It's capped off by a rushing touchdown from Derrick Henry. And then Miami turns it over on downs on the last drive. Titans win. That's a bad loss for Miami. It dropped to 9-4 on the season. Take a look at the NFL standings. Right now in the AFC, you have the Dolphins winning the East by 2 games over the Bills, followed by the Jets and the Patriots. And then North, Ravens are at 10-3. Got Cleveland's 2 games out of that division. And you have Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Every team over 500 in that division. AFC South, Jacksonville leads Indianapolis and Houston by a game. In the West, Kansas City, they're actually only a game up on Denver now, surprisingly. Yeah, obviously the Chargers and Bears rounding out that division. NFC East, Dallas is technically in first place right now. Both them and the Eagles are 10-3. After Dallas won against the Eagles this past week. If Philly wins out, they will still win the division, but technically the Cowboys are in first place right now. Also, Dallas got a much harder schedule than the Eagles rest of the way, so we'll see what happens. Giants and Commanders round out that division. NFC North, you have the Lions. We're 2 games up on Minnesota. That golf NFC South, Tampa, Atlanta, and New Orleans are all 6-7. Tampa right now is taking with the division leader. And the NFC West, the 49ers with the Giants beating the Packers officially clinched the playoffs. And they, I think, need a win or a loss by both the Rams and the Seahawks to clinch that division. That's the divisional stand. Let's look at the conference standings, starting with the AFC. The 1 seed right now is the Ravens at 10-3. 2 seeds Miami at the 9-4. Kansas City and Jacksonville are both 8-5. They're the 3 and the 4 seed. First wild card is Cleveland 8-5. And then you have a slew of 7-6 teams, or 6, 7, and 6 teams in the AFC. The last 2 teams in right now are Pittsburgh and Indianapolis, and you got Houston, Denver, Cincinnati, and Buffalo all at 7-6. And then the Chargers, the Raiders, the Jets and Titans are at 5-8, and the Patriots at 3-10 are already out. In the NFC, you have the 49ers at 10-3. They've already clinched a playoff spot. You have Dallas 10. They're also they're a 2 seed. And the Lions are the 3 seed at 9-4. The 4 seed is the Bucs at 6-7. Somehow they're hosting a playoff game. First walker of course the Eagles at 10-3, followed by Minnesota, and the last team right now is the Packers. So it's 5, 6, and 7 teams in the NFC. The other ones are the Rams, Seahawks, Falcons, and Saints. The Giants and Bears were a game out of 5-8. How the Giants and Bears when it came out of the playoff? That's crazy. So it shows you how much better the AFC is than the NFC. Commanders are 2 games out. Arizona's hanging by a third. And of course, Carolina at 1-12 is officially eliminated from playoff contention. All right, so let's look at the NBA standings right now. Obviously, season's about a quarter or so not even in. In the East, you have the Boston Celtics leading that conference. They're 16-5. You have Orlando and Milwaukee both at 16-7. Orlando's been playing really well. Paulo Banchero has just been having an incredible year. He was rookie of the year last year. He's such a great player. Orlando nailed the number 1 pick last year, picking him. Phenomenal player. Then you got Milwaukee, who are slow starters, found their footing for the most part. You have Philly at 15-7. They've played very well. Look what happens when you get rid of James Harden. I heard PJ Tucker is a little bit frustrated, saying, I can still have a role on this team or somewhere else. I don't agree. He's horrible. He's washed. You have Indiana 13-8. They look really good. Tyrese Halliburton is an absolute stud. You have Knicks at 13-9. They picked up a win over the Raptors. It's tough. They lose Mitch Robinson, who have been rebounding his ass off. Now he's out 8 to 10 weeks with ankle surgery. In the playing tournament right now is Cleveland. You have Miami, both teams are at 13-10. You have Brooklyn at 12-10, and Atlanta's at 9-13. On the outside looking is Toronto. They've been struggling. We'll see what happens at the trade line. Do they make a move? Pascal Siakam or OG Anunoby or someone like that. You have the Bulls, of course, or without Zach LaVine for another month or so. Their team, could they make a move? Maybe if LaVine's healthier, DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso, I heard, is a guy who pretty much every team wants, but he's like the one guy that this front office brought in that's really worked out, so they're kind of want to hold on to him. So we're not sure what's going to happen there. I heard now they're looking to the Bulls, they're looking to now add a player that can help them win now, maybe another draft pick down the line. If the Hornets are 7-14, I will say I think the Hornets will be even worse than where they are. 7-14 isn't good. Game and a half out of the plan, but I thought that'd be really, really bad. The Wizards at 3-19. They're atrocious. Jordan Poole's been horrible. And the Detroit Pistons are 2-21. They've lost 20 straight games. They have lost 20 basketball games in a row. 20 in a row. That's incredibly awful. The Pistons have a thing where they get free wings in Detroit when they win, and they haven't had, and their fans haven't gotten free wings since October 28th. That was the last time they won a basketball game. It's literally been 6 weeks. It's December 12th. Last time they won was October 28th. They did not win a basketball game in November. Christmas is in less than 2 weeks. They have not won since before Halloween. That's how bad they are. Remember, they paid Monty Williams $7 million to coach their basketball team, and they somehow got worse. And this wasn't a team that was like a playoff team last year. This is a team that won 17 basketball games last year. I think they had the worst record in basketball last year. They won 17 times, and they are significantly worse. And Kate Cunningham, from our number one pick a couple of years ago, was injured most of the year last year. You have him healthy. Jaden Ivey was out for a bit. He's back now. You drafted Alstar Thompson. You got some other young guys like Jalen Duren in that lineup. I know they're young, obviously. Jaden Ivey's only in his second year. Cade's only in his third year. He was injured most of last year. Duren's only in his second year. Alstar Thompson's a rookie. All these other guys, Killian Hayes. Only true vet they have that's helping them is probably Bogdanovich. Maybe Alec Burks, but he's a bench guy. Marvin Bagley's still young. He's more of a he's a bench guy. James Wiseman's still very young. They're really young. I knew they wouldn't be good, but I didn't think they'd be this bad. 20 straight games. Wow, that's incredibly bad. I'm not a huge Monty Williams guy. He's an incredible person. Obviously, he's been through a lot. He's a decent coach, but not worth $12 million a year. That's ridiculous. Then you have Minnesota leading the West at 17-5. They have the best record in the NBA. Rudy Gobert didn't have a great year last year. He's been a lot better this year. He looked phenomenal. Mike Conley's playing really well. Towns, they've been playing great. You have a Thunder at 50-7. They've been playing really well. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a stud. You have Chet Holmgren's been phenomenal. You have the Dallas Mavericks at 14-8. They've surprised me. I didn't think they'd be that good. Obviously, Luka Doncic has been phenomenal. Denver's at 15-9. You have the Kings at 13-8. You have the Lakers in 6th at 14-9. You have the Rockets at 11-9. The Rockets have played a lot better since a really slow start. You have the Clippers at 12-10. They're the 8 spot. Suns at the 9 spot. They can't stay healthy. That experiment's not going to work. Pelicans at 13-11 are the last team in the play-in. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on around Zion about his conditioning, which, by the way, is very concerning. How you are a professional NBA player and you have conditioning concerns? I don't understand how you're that not motivated. Especially a guy like Zion, who's got the chance to be one of the best players in the league every year, making $40-50 million a year. I don't understand it. The Golden State Warriors are not in the play right now. They're at 10-12. They've been really inconsistent. The problem with the Warriors, remember, they had Bob Myers, their longtime general manager. He stepped in after last year. He's now part of the ESPN coverage on ESPN, the NBA coverage on ESPN. And they were asking him, what's wrong? And he said, they haven't been able to figure it out. I think the issue is the things that they were doing that would always work. They're aren't working anymore. This team you used to be able to live and die with three. This team used to be able to just dribble up the court, pull up from three, and no one would say anything about it because they hit three. They had the greatest shooter of all time, Stephen Curry. Clay, one of the three greatest shooters of all time. Obviously, for a while you had Kevin Durant, one of the greatest scorers of all time. And then you had guys coming off your bench that could shoot the ball. They just don't have that anymore. Outside of Stephen Curry, Clay is not near the same. Yeah, he hasn't had a very good year. Andrew Wiggins isn't really scaring anybody. Chris Paul is not the same. There's really nobody on that bench that's really any sort of threat whatsoever. Mosley or Kuminga, none of these guys are, and it's just not working. They used to have really good depth, at the center position. They don't have that anymore. Draymond Green's still a good defender, and not the defender he once was. So all these things, Golden State be great at, for 3-point shooting, not only from Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson, but all throughout the lineup. Having good depth, having multiple big men that could come in and protect the rim, just as good as the last guy. They just don't have that anymore. And if they keep struggling, it'll be interesting to see what happens if they end up missing the play or just making the play and losing the play, and what they do next year. If Klay Thompson going to be afraid, Draymond Green isn't the same player. He's got 3 years left on his deal. Stephen Curry's getting older. Chris Paul, was obviously at the very end of his career. Andrew Wiggins has got 2 or 3 years left on his deal. So, what do you do? So it'll be a very interesting conversation. We'll see what happens. You have Utah at 7-16. I thought they'd be a little better. They didn't do a whole lot in the offseason. I thought they'd do a little more. All I did was make the move for John Collins, which I didn't even think that made a lot of sense with how many bigs they have. You already have Lauri Markkanen and Morgan Kessler. They bring on another big in John Collins. But I thought they'd be a little bit better than this. Memphis has been really bad. 6-16. I knew they were going to struggle a little bit without Ja Morant. Obviously, he's got 3 more games on my 25-game suspension for obviously the whole stuff with the guns that he struggled with. I expect them to only be probably a 500 team. They kind of hang around in the play-ins, and when Ja came back, they've obviously played a lot better and probably moved their way up the rankings in the West, but didn't be this bad. Definitely not having Steven Adams this year is hurt. Him getting hurt, he's out for the year. He's their veteran leader. Their starting center. He does all the dirty work down low on defense and rebounding. It's not having him hurts. Desmond Bane's really the only guy doing the whole lot. I'm sure John Jack has been fine out through the range of the player of the year. And Desmond Bane's been playing really, really well, but clearly not having Jaws really, really hurt them. So I expected. I didn't think it'd be this bad. You have the Blazers at 6-16, and the San Antonio Spurs at 3-19. They have lost 17 games in a row. They suck. All right, so don't have too much else for you guys. One other piece of news is NBA is talking about possibly guaranteeing a playoff spot for a team that wins the in-season tournament next year. So keep an eye out for that. NFL season is coming to a close pretty soon. The regular season only has about another 4 games left. You have another month or so of the regular season. Then the playoffs start. So in about a month's time, we're going to see some coaches get fired. I'm going to tell you guys some coaches I think will get fired or should get fired. Let's start with Brandon Staley, the Chargers head coach. He's gone. He is gone. This team is so talented. They got one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and Justin Herbert just entering his prime. So many weapons. Also, not for Keenan Allen. And just every year, the team underperforms. He's a terrible coach. He doesn't know what he's doing. Get him out of there. How are you a defensive-minded guy, or defense is always terrible every year? I don't understand. Sean McDermott in Buffalo, he's gone. Even if Buffalo sneaks in the playoffs and then loses in the first round, you still fire him. He's not that good of a coach. I know Josh Allen's turnover concerns are on Allen. That's a conversation we'll have to have after the year about Josh Allen. But McDermott, he's not doing anything to try and help this team. You've got one of the best quarterbacks from Josh Allen, with Stephon Diggs and all these assets on defense, with Von Miller, This team every year is super talented. Well, looks like they could come out of the AFC. Every year they fall short. Now they might not even make the playoffs. Now he's making all these stupid comments. Dude's a clown. He's not that good of a coach. Goodbye. See you later. I don't think Bill Belichick will be in New England next year. He's obviously one of the 3 greatest head coaches of all time, if not the greatest head coach of all time. He's got the second most wins in the history of the league. He's won 6 Super Bowl trophies. He's been there for almost 25 years. He's 70-something years old. He's a legend. The Patriots would not be the Patriots without Bill Belichick. But it's time. He screwed up the team with as a GM, completely missed on Mac Jones. The team he's built is absolutely horrible. It's just time to move on. The Patriots are going to a new era of Patriots football. It's time to move on. Ron Rivera is gone in Washington. He's an incredible person. He's been through a lot. He's a great man. And he's a guy I'll take on my staff as like an assistant, maybe. Not a head coach. He's got 2 winning seasons in 12 years or 13 years as a head coach. His career winning percentage is like 48% or something, or 52. And that's with a 15-1 season in 2015 with Carolina when Cam Newton won the MVP. He's not a good head coach. See you later. I think Dennis Allen, if the Saints don't win the division, Dennis Allen is gone. He's a terrible head coach. He was awful with the Raiders when he was there for 3 years, and he's been terrible with the Saints. He should be fired. And they even if they win the division, they go 8-9, win the division, and get smacked in the first round. I think you still fire him. He's not a good head coach. That Saints team is so mediocre. The GM making Loomis probably been a hot seat as well, giving Derek Carr $150 million for that, and just the team that he's built. Giving Michael Thomas all that money. This team he built as mediocre team as you could possibly have. They were in your division. They probably be like a 3-win team. But this team is not that good. He's a terrible coach. He's a pretty good defensive coordinator, but not a good coach. Goodbye. Same thing with Todd Bowles. If they don't win the division, I think he's gone. Bowles is a great defensive coordinator, but a terrible coach. He was terrible with the Jets, and he's been not good with Tampa. If they're in any other division, he would never even sniff a division title. Not last year, not this year. Okay, if they lose the division, he's gone. And if they win, I think you still fire him. He's not a good head coach. And then there's a couple that are maybes. Arthur Smith in Atlanta. I've defended him in the past. I'm thinking he hasn't had great, yes, he hasn't won a ton of games, but he hasn't had great rosters. Desmond Ritter is horrible, but also, they won't, I don't know why he won't use his skill part. He's got Kyle Pitts, top 5 pick, big body, really good tight end, and the dude's got 6 touchdowns in 3 years. Rick Glenn was a top 10 pick a couple of years ago, and he just won't get the ball. Bijan Robinson's a top 10 pick, generational running back, and he's getting 10, 12 carries a game. He's splitting with Tyler Algier. I just don't understand. That being said, he's also had, in 3 years, his quarterbacks, he had washed Matt Ryan, Marcus Mariota, and Desmond Ritter. He has not had a quarterback. So maybe you get him a quarterback next year and give him another shot. But having Love left scene, I can see them moving on. Matt Eberflus, I think he's done a terrible job over there in Chicago. I think he's clueless. I thought he did a really good job as defensive coordinator of the Colts. For years, I was calling for him to get a head coach job, and I regret doing that because he has not done a good job. The team isn't very good. I'm far from sold on Justin Fields. The one he really shows me something down the stretch here. I think they better should move on and draft somebody else. They'll probably have the number 1 pick in the draft, and their own pick will be pretty high as well. Definitely the top 10, not the top 5. But he really isn't that good of a coach. So he's a guy I could see possibly getting moved on from. Also, Robert Saleh with the Jets. I've been very vocal. I don't like the guy. I think he's a phenomenal very similar to Todd Bowles. Great D corner, not a great head coach. I know he's had Zach Wilson as his quarterback, who's overall has sucked. And I don't think the GM, Joe Douglas, has done a lot of favors, but every week the team is undisciplined. Every week they look underprepared. He's doing nothing to try and fix these offensive issues. You know, why he hired Hackett, I don't know. I know slur Aaron Rodgers. It's not his fault Aaron Rodgers got hurt. But my God. Like, he could have brought in a solid OC. Now, I think Rodgers would have still came here. You know, in San Francisco, he was always like super energetic and always getting pumped up, and players loved him. I don't see that here. You know, the same energy and accountability that he showed as the coordinator of San Francisco. I don't see that here. Maybe in the beginning of his tenure, he showed that fire, but this year I don't see it at all. It's like that same stupid little mean mug on his face. You know, obviously they beat Houston, and we'll see what happens the rest of the year. You might get Aaron Rodgers back in 2 weeks, but I haven't loved what I've seen from him. I don't think he's a great head coach. Maybe if Aaron Rodgers is going to be there next year, you bring him back, you give him one more shot, try this one more time. But to me, I don't really. He hasn't impressed me. I'd rather him go and get a really good head coach. You know, get a real play caller. I think Rodgers will be fine. I don't think he's married to Hackett. I'm sure he likes the guy. You know, he had a lot of success with him. He definitely likes the guy, but I think he'd understand. He just hasn't done a good job this year. And this year was playoffs or Boston. It's not, and they're not making. I don't think they're making the playoffs. So I think he should go. We'll see how the rest of the year, but he's got to look out for as well. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.